Hello, I'm Dr. Don Colbert, and welcome to Dr. Colbert's Health Report. I have my wife, Mary, with me today.
And I have to tell you, this is going to be one of the best shows you have ever watched because he has got so much information to give you that's going to improve your health.
Yes, we were talking about memory loss, dementia, Alzheimer's disease. What can we do to prevent this disease?
A lot.
We can do a lot. We've got to talk about diet. Also, infections. What do we need to do dietarily to prevent this disease?
So there really is things that we can do, Don.
Absolutely. These are simple things you can do, and we're going to outline it for you, make it real simple so everyone can do this. And when you do this, you're going to see an improvement in your memory.
You need to get on the phone and call your friends and tell them to tune in to watch this program because you've always heard that Alzheimer's is that dreaded disease. There's nothing you can do about it. Not after today. You'll be able to do something about it. Stay tuned.
Dr. Colbert is a world-renowned medical doctor who specializes in preventative medicine. He believes in strengthening the whole man, the mind, body, and spirit. Listen to Dr. Colbert empower you to overcome common illnesses through natural solutions. And now, Dr. Don and Mary Colbert.
Okay, so Don, you are telling us that there are things that we can do to empower ourselves so that we don't get this dreaded disease, Alzheimer's. Is that correct?
Yes, but again, what I tell people, exercise, aerobic exercise regularly is real important. And again, I go back to my dad who developed Alzheimer's in the 90s, in the early 90s. I didn't know what to do back then. Right. Here my dad was eating all the wrong foods. I look back and I think of what he was eating. He was eating Southern cooking. He had a dessert after every meal. He lived on sugar. He lived on sweet tea. That fuels memory loss.
Wow.
And so one thing people have to realize is Alzheimer's disease, back in 2005, researchers said, wait, Alzheimer's disease, as well as most dementias, are actually a type of type 3 diabetes. You see, we've known that there's a type 1 diabetes where the body doesn't produce insulin and you have to be on insulin shots. Then there's type 2 diabetes, where a person can literally use weight loss and a few key medicines or supplements and dietary change, and we can many times control type 2 diabetes with diet and exercise alone. But then what they found is most Alzheimer's disease is type 3 diabetes. Now,
that is amazing.
Here's what happens. This was discovered in 2005. Here's what happens. The brain cells become insulin resistant, and here's what I mean by that. On every cell of the body, but especially the brain cells, we have insulin receptors. It's important when you eat any kind of food, the body, especially carbohydrates, fruits, vegetables, the body literally takes the sugar out, you absorb the sugar into your bloodstream, and then when you absorb the sugar, the pancreas squirts out insulin. Now, the more sugar you consume, the more grains you consume, or potatoes and starches you consume, your body starts to secrete higher amounts of insulin. And with high insulin levels, eventually the brain cells become resistant to the action of insulin. So what happens? The sugar doesn't get inside the brain cells, and the brain starts to degenerate and die. The brain cells start to die. And so simply what is happening is we need to start resensitizing the brain cells to the effects of insulin.
Wait a minute, you said resensitizing?
Yes. Now
can you resensitize your brain?
Absolutely, and we have reversed so many pre-diabetics and diabetics, but it all starts with insulin resistance. You see a person say, well, I don't have insulin resistance, I don't have pre-diabetes, I don't have diabetes. Yet most of you do. If your waist as a woman is greater than 35 inches, you're insulin resistant already. Just get your waist measurement, get your measuring tape out and measure your waist around your belly button. If you're a man, if your waist measurement around your belly button or your navel and your love handles is 40 inches or greater, you're already insulin resistant.
Well, and I know a good doctor who does liposuction. Does that count?
No, doesn't count because it's the visceral fat. It doesn't count.
Oh, it doesn't.
But let me tell you this. What we have found is if you have a large waist, you're already insulin resistant, and you are headed for Alzheimer's disease and memory loss. So what we have to do is we have to first get on a diet to bring the belly fat down. That's why one of the key things they found in one study was low body weight. When you have low body weight, guess what? You are actually resensitizing your insulin receptors. You say, how do I resensitize insulin receptors? It's real simple. You've got to eliminate most of your sugars. Now, I'm not saying forever. I'm saying until we get this under control. You also need to cut way back on your grains and starches, especially wheat. Wheat spikes that blood sugar, and wheat is inflammatory to a lot of my patients, especially in their brain. As well as corn. Realize corn has more mycotoxins than most any other food out there, but plus it spikes your blood sugar. As well as potatoes, as well as many of the starches and snack foods that people are eating, potato chips, corn chips, all of these things. They're spiking your sugar. They're setting you up for insulin resistance, where your brain is starving for sugar. It's not getting it.
Wow.
And so that's the first simple thing we do. Now, the way we do this is we have more of a plant-based diet. We have, and I tell people it's real simple. Instead of eating cereals, which are wheat, most cereals are wheat or corn or rice that spikes your sugar, try the steel-cut oatmeal. Steel-cut oatmeal with some berries. Berries are very low glycemic. Put some nuts in there, and that keeps your blood sugar low. You're not going to get those insulin spikes. For lunch, again, cut way back on your
Mediterranean diet.
It's my Mediterranean diet. But
what would Jesus eat? You're taking us right to what he ate.
It's the Mediterranean diet without the grains.
Okay.
Keep the beans, peas, lentils, the raw nuts, lean meat, small amounts of lean meats, lots of salad, lots of extra virgin olive oil. And then for dinner, we want to go as low carb as possible. So we want to even cut our beans out and mainly have lots of green vegetables, lots of romaine salad or spinach, lean meats, and you can have vegetable soups, low sodium, non-cream based. Now that is the key. Lowering the sugar is one of the major keys. I've written books on this. I wrote the Reversing Diabetes, Type 2 Diabetes. I've written many books, but the key thing is this. It's the Mediterranean diet without the grains and without the sugars.
Wow.
That's simply the program that helps to resensitize the insulin receptors.
Now, Don, you just said something and it triggered in my mind that the type 2-3 diabetes. Are you telling me if people followed your diabetic program, like for it has the same effect?
It helps,
Wow.
absolutely. It helps to resensitize the insulin receptors. And again, realize that the brain, we have found since the mid-1990s, we can now restore and renew and regrow brain cells. We didn't know that before. So the brain is 70% fat. Can you believe that?
Now, that's new information, Don. That's new. People always thought that the brain could not rejuvenate.
That's
but
right.
You're saying now they found that you can.
We've known for many years that most every organ in the body can regenerate. Our bones regenerate. Our heart muscle regenerates. Our muscles regenerate. Our skin regenerates. It takes 30 days for our skin to regenerate.
That is such good news.
Our intestinal tract regenerates. Our liver regenerates. We didn't know until the mid-1990s our brain actually regenerates.
That gives us all hope.
And so again, what we want to do is we got to put the right key foods in our bodies to help regenerate healthy cells. Now, the brain is 70% fat. Do you know that 25% of the cholesterol in our body is located in our brain?
What? Wait. 25%?
Realize the brain only makes up 2% of our total body mass, but it has 25% of the cholesterol. The brain has got to have cholesterol to form those healthy cell membranes.
Now, does that mean if you have high cholesterol, you might have a big brain?
Well, again, we want the right kind of cholesterol. We don't want oxidized cholesterol. So again, if you're eating a lot of the wrong...
So not all cholesterol is the same?
Well, it's not. But again, cholesterol is very important for a healthy brain. And we don't want it super high, but we want it a little high normal to help the brain because it helps the brain. But we want to put you on the anti-inflammatory Mediterranean diet without the grains and sugars so you don't oxidize your cholesterol. But here's the key. Certain fats are very, very, very important for the brain. Cholesterol is just one of those fats. Other fats include a special saturated fat that most people will not believe that this fat actually protects the brain, and it's coconut oil. But it's not regular coconut oil. It has to be extra virgin or virgin coconut oil.
So it's not Almond Joys.
No, that hurts the brain.
Okay.
And processed coconut oil will not help the brain. It's got to be the virgin or extra virgin coconut oil. And you say, how does this work? We have found that coconut oil is the only oil that has the highest amount of median chain triglycerides of any food on the planet. Why are median chain triglycerides so important? These are the short chain triglycerides, or median chain, that only has 6 to 12 carbons. Because these fats are broken down into median chain triglycerides that feed the brain cells. And they're absorbed into the brain. They're past the blood-brain barrier. One of the most powerful of these ketone bodies is this hydroxy butyrate. Hydroxy Butyrate is an amazing ketone body that feeds the brain and stimulates the neurotrophic factors of the brain-derived neurotrophic factors, which actually repair and grow new brain cells, axons, and dendrites by taking coconut oil. And so coconut oil literally feeds our bodies with these powerful ketone bodies, including capric acid, caprylic acid, lauric acid, myristic acid, as well as this hydroxy butyrate. It feeds these for as long as 8 hours. So in other words...
So the coconut oil feeds these areas of your brain?
It feeds your brain. It gives your brain does better with ketone bodies than sugar. Realize so many people with memory loss, Alzheimer's disease, they're insulin resistant. The sugar's not getting into the brain cells. So their brain's starving for sugar.
Now, Don, I can just see people running out and saying, okay, I'm starting to eat coconut oil.
Let me explain. The brain in the majority of patients runs on sugar.
Okay.
But when you take coconut oil, you have just shifted to an alternative fuel supply. Coconut oil, which is the highest in medium chain triglycerides as well as ketones of any food on the planet, higher than anything. And what you're doing when you are consuming coconut oil, especially on a regular basis, about every 6 to 8 hours.
How much?
Just a tablespoon. A tablespoon of extra virgin or virgin coconut oil.
Put it like in a smoothie or something like that?
You put it in a smoothie. You can take it just a tablespoon if you want to.
Well, you're someone who would do that, but the average person, I'm not going to
I put it in my smoothies. Yeah, I put it in my smoothie. But don't put ice or it's in there, or else it's going to be clumpy. It's not going to taste good. But yes, you can put coconut oil in a smoothie, but don't make it a smoothie full of sugar and too much protein.
So you want to do it all day long?
Yes, absolutely.
Throughout the day.
Do it with each meal.
Because it keeps the brain active.
It keeps the brain engaged and is providing fuel for the brain. See, even if you have insulin resistance in the brain, which every Alzheimer's patient does, most people with memory loss do, when you are taking coconut oil, you're providing an alternative fuel for the brain, and the brain actually prefers ketone bodies, ketone bodies over sugar.
Okay.
So when you do this, see, a lot of people just take 1 tablespoon of coconut oil in the morning. That's it. That doesn't work. You got to have coconut oil at least 3 or even better 4 times a day. You do it with breakfast, a tablespoon.
Can you get it in a pill?
No. You do it with lunch, you do it with dinner, and you do it at bedtime. And when you do this, bingo, you've just provided.
So you carry a little jar in my purse throughout the day?
Just put it in your,
now, does it have to be like that hard coconut oil, or can it be liquid coconut oil?
Listen, let me explain something.
Okay.
Any coconut oil that is less than around 65, 67 degrees is going to be hard. That's normal.
Okay.
But if it's over 67 degrees, it's liquid. So in other words, if your house is always cold, it's always going to be solid, like butter. But if it's 70 degrees or higher, generally it's liquid. And so all you do, you can just take a tablespoon of liquid coconut oil and make sure it's over 70, it's going to be liquid, and just take it. Or you can mix it with a smoothie, or you can mix it with whatever. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
And just don't mix it with a lot of sugar.
So people really who are struggling with memory issues,
they need to be on this.
They need to look at this like they would medicine, right?
Yes, because let me explain. There's a few key fats that are so important for the brain. Coconut oil is one of them. Another is medium chain triglycerides. What they have done is they've taken all the medium chain triglycerides out of coconut oil and they've produced a clear liquid at room temperature and even cold temperature. And you can take these that are full of medium chain triglycerides that produce ketone bodies in the brain and feed the brain. The problem with medium chain triglycerides for a lot of people, I've found, cause diarrhea if you take too much. And it only lasts 3 hours, whereas coconut oil lasts 8 hours. So that's why coconut oil is better. Now, again, some people with severe memory impairment can do them both. Do it with a meal, but if you're getting diarrhea, cut the medium chain triglycerides out.
And this is not going to make me fat?
Well, yes, it could make you fat. Remember,
because that's the other problem.
It's going to make your brain fat, but you got to do your exercise, and you can't be taking in the carbs and the sugars. Now, again, let me explain something to you. When you're taking in coconut oil and when you're taking in medium chain triglycerides, guess what? Your body burns those as fuel, like sugar, but it turns off your appetite or turns it way down. So you're not going to eat the sugars, the grains, the potatoes, and the carbs and the starches that cause weight gain. See, most weight gain is due to high insulin levels and eating the wrong foods. When you get on these fats, guess what? You start to lose weight. But your brain starts to enlarge.
Wow.
And especially doing exercise.
You may have just found the cure for fatness.
Well, your body literally starts to
Coconut oil.
burn these powerful fatty acids, coconut oil, medium chain triglycerides as fuel.
Wow.
So in other words, if you take regular fat, like if you take the majority of the fats Americans consume and people throughout the world are polyunsaturated fats. About 97% of the average intake of people around the world is polyunsaturated fats. These inflame the brain. They don't produce ketone bodies, they actually inflame the brain. In studies in rats and mice, they find that rats on these type diets develop more memory loss and Alzheimer's type lesions on their brains. And so we don't want polyunsaturated fats, but the key fats that protect the brain are coconut oil, palm kernel oil, which is another kind of oil you can get from the health food store, but it needs to be virgin, as well as medium chain triglycerides, as well as monounsaturated fats. Now this is where you can actually, but if you take too many of these fats, women, you can get fat. But the good news is with the coconut oil and medium chain triglycerides, you burn that as energy just like sugar.
Wow.
But if you get into too many monounsaturated fats like almond butter, not peanut butter, a lot of people are taking in peanut butter. Peanut butter is high generally in mycotoxins, and actually, as well as corn, is high in, can contain aflatoxins, which are toxic to the liver. And so these can affect the brain adversely. So that's why we want to use monounsaturated fats. Also, peanut butter has long-chain fatty acids that are not good for the brain. The medium chain and short-chain fatty acids are good for the brain. So almond butter is a good alternative for peanut butter. And I encourage people because it actually is an anti-inflammatory fat for the brain. Also, avocados, guacamole, macadamia nuts, raw nuts and seeds are also healthy brain foods. But perhaps the most important fat for the brain is the DHA, the omega-3 fat called DHA. They found
I'm thinking DEA.
Not DHEA.
Not DHA.
Not a DEA agent.
Right, okay.
Drug enforcement agent, but it's DHA. You're thinking of DHEA.
What does DHA stand for, do you know? It's a...
Doxyhexanoic
Oh, never mind. I shouldn't have asked. That's okay. The DHA, that is...
There are two key forms of omega-3 fats. There's EPA, and most fish oils contain the EPA. And then there's DHA. The DHA is concentrated in the brain. In other words, 90% of the omega-3 in your body, in your brain, is DHA, not EPA. Now, EPA helps to lower triglycerides and things like that, but the DHA is what's brain protective.
And that's a supplement you can get.
You can get a supplement or you can eat wild salmon, but to get the high amounts of DHA, it's usually best to take it in a supplement with low lipid peroxides. So many fish oils are high in lipid peroxides and it inflame the brain.
Okay.
So it's real simple once you understand this. So what we're trying to do is create a diet that's brain healthy. We use a low-carb diet, Mediterranean diet, without the grains and the sugars and the starches, not all the potatoes. Now, you want to go to your doctor and you want to check your hemoglobin A1c. This is really important. So many people have insulin resistance and prediabetes and don't even know it. They are signing up for Alzheimer's and don't even know it.
Wow.
If you're diabetic, you have a 2 to 3 times greater risk of developing Alzheimer's disease. But it doesn't just start, you don't wake up one day with type 2 diabetes. What happens is you go through insulin resistance, prediabetes and diabetes. It may take decades to reach diabetes, but still, you're damaging your brain if you're just insulin resistant. You're not getting enough sugar to the brain, especially if you're not taking these coconut oils. And very few people are taking it because doctors say, don't do it. It raises your cholesterol. Doctors are still on the cholesterol kick.
Okay, so this blood test, it's a simple blood test they can do.
Now again, there's just a simple little test that determines if you have insulin resistance or prediabetes or type 2 diabetes. It's called the hemoglobin A1c. Every doctor does this blood test. However, they usually only do it for diabetics. That's usually it. But realize if your waist as a woman is 35 inches or greater, a man if your waist is 40 inches or greater, you already have insulin resistance. And you probably have prediabetes and you're on your way to developing dementia or Alzheimer's disease. So the key here is see your doctor and let's see where you're at. I personally like to keep my hemoglobin A1c, which I check about every 3 to 4 months. I keep it around 5.0 or less. The lower the hemoglobin A1c, the less risk you have of developing dementia and developing insulin resistance, which is usually the first stage for developing Alzheimer's disease. Remember, Alzheimer's disease is simply, they're calling it now type 3 diabetes. the brain cells are not able to absorb the sugar out of the blood. And as a result, the brain is starving for fuel and it's degenerating rapidly. Think of that, again, the plum and the raisin. When you have insulin resistance in your brain's starving for sugar. And so that's why we have to resensitize the insulin receptors. We have to avoid or diminish our sugars, our grains, and our starches, our processed foods, and especially those potatoes. And as we do this, we resensitize the brain, the insulin receptors, and we give the brain the fuel it needs, the good fats. The brain's 70% fat, but it does best with anti-inflammatory fats like coconut oil, extra virgin coconut oil, olive oil, monounsaturated fats, DHA fish oil, MCT oils. These are healthy oils that feed the brain.
This is so much information, and for more information, you can go to our website at drcolbert.com. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Do you have brain fog, trouble forgetting things like what you ate this morning or where you set your keys down? Did you know there are real natural solutions that can help kickstart your brain and protect it from daily oxidative stress? Dr. Colbert has put together a comprehensive elite brain package that's designed to support cognitive memory and reduce oxidative stress. Dr. Colbert's extensive research in brain health has made it simple for you to keep your brain healthy. Each elite brain package includes one 30-day supply of living omega-3 with DHA, one 30-day supply of Brain On, one 30-day supply of Brain Defense, along with Dr. Colbert's 7 doctor's orders to overcoming memory loss study guide. You can get all of this right now for $99. Call right now to order your elite brain package. The number is 1-800-433-4484. Don't miss this great opportunity to turn your brain on. Call now, 1-800-433-4484.
Okay, Don, let's just recap, if we can, for the viewer, some things that they can do. Empower them right now.
Okay, real important. I tell people, first, shrink the belly fat.
Okay.
Because when you shrink the belly fat, how do you shrink the belly fat? Simply following my Mediterranean, low grain, low sugar diet.
Okay.
That'll start to shrink your belly fat, and aerobic exercise.
Okay.
Now again, start out 3 days a week for just 5 or 10 minutes, slowly. Gradually work up to 5 days a week for 30 minutes. Okay. If you have any heart problems, see your doctor, be checked. Or if you have risk factors for cardiovascular disease, including high blood pressure, high cholesterol, smoking. Again, if you have that, you got to stop smoking. Smoking really degenerates the brain rapidly. So we need to follow an anti-inflammatory, low carb, low sugar, low grain diet. Remember, a lot of people with memory loss and Alzheimer's are sensitive to the gluten and gliadins in the wheat. They're sensitive to wheat and they don't know it. A lot of doctors aren't checking to see if you're sensitive to wheat. There's specific tests I can do to see if you have a gluten or gliadin sensitivity that can inflame the brain. And so what I find is I want to know what foods are inflaming your brain. I know polyunsaturated fats inflame the brain, trans fats inflame the brain. Let's remove the foods that are inflaming the brain. And for many of you, the wheat and gluten's inflaming your brain.
Okay, so we've got the gluten out, we're exercising, we're eating the Mediterranean diet.
You're not smoking, you're minimal drinking if you drink, or avoid it. Best.
Okay, and a few supplements.
Lowering your body fat down.
The supplements to help with the fire in the brain?
Exactly, but again, remember, the key thing for the brain is fats. Healthy fats. You need that extra virgin coconut oil. And if you have memory loss, cognitive impairment that's mild, moderate, or severe, if you have early Alzheimer's, it's important to start on your extra virgin coconut oil. 1 tablespoon.
That is so cool.
1 to 2 tablespoons when you wake up in the morning, because you've been without it for at least 8 hours. It's real important to get that first thing in the morning. It's best to take it with food, and then take a tablespoon with each meal and before you go to bed. Now, that lasts about 8 hours, the effects. What you're doing is you're feeding your brain ketone bodies and medium chain triglycerides that feed the brain. Even if you're insulin resistant, you're still giving the brain the fuel it needs. Isn't that exciting?
That is so exciting. You know what I love, Don, is the information that you bring to people. Even though you're a medical doctor and you write scripts and you believe that medicine is a very important part of our life, you don't believe it should be the foundation of our life. You really are bringing information that people can do, go to the stores, go to their grocery stores, things that they can do and not have to take a drug. I think this is so exciting because God has an answer for for every disease in the earth. And it doesn't have to be a medicine.
We're absolutely right. In fact, a lot of the medicines people are taking are causing memory loss. I mean, one of the side effects of so many medicines is memory loss.
Wow.
And that's why, like, for example, the statin drugs. One of the most common meds prescribed in America are statin drugs. They lower cholesterol. In lowering cholesterol, guess what? The highest concentration of cholesterol is found in the brain. When you're lowering cholesterol, the brain has to have cholesterol in order to repair itself.
That makes so much sense.
So many patients that come in to see me with memory loss, they're taking a statin drug. I take them off their statin drug. I put them on coconut oil, on the Mediterranean diet, without the grains, without the starches, without the sugars, and bingo, we lower their cholesterol and we turn their brains back on. But I cannot believe how many medicines are associated with memory loss.
Wow.
But let me just tell you this, it's so incredible talking about ketones. When you take these powerful coconut oil and MCT oils, you are actually producing ketone bodies in your body that feed the brain. The ketone bodies, what they do, they decrease inflammation in the brain. They decrease oxidative stress. See, the brain is a fatty organ. It undergoes more oxidation than most any organ because it undergoes lipid oxidation in the brain. This quenches that oxidation or rusting. Oxidation is like rusting. Okay, it quenches that. It also, ketone bodies improve blood flow in the brain by 39%. So much dementia is due to poor blood flow, as well as not getting the oxygen to the brain, not getting the sugar to the brain, not getting the fats to the brain. And the other thing it does, it increases the neurotrophic factors in the brain that help to grow new brain cells, new dendrites, new axons, and repair the brain. So the ketone bodies are so important to the brain, and that's why most doctors know nothing about ketone bodies. But these are simply produced by taking the medium chain triglycerides, or even better, the coconut oil. So it's real simple. So the program's simple. It's the right diet. It's avoiding the wrong foods. It's taking some supplements, and we have a few key supplements that work beautifully. We have turmeric, helps to decrease inflammation in the brain. It's a powerful antioxidant. And the people with some of the lowest rates of Alzheimer's are in India, where they eat a lot of curcumin or turmeric. Another supplement real important to the brain is DHA fish oil, but it has to be low oxidation. Most fish oil, unfortunately, has lots of lipid oxidative products which actually create inflammation. Okay, now I'm not telling you to go off your statin drug if you're taking Zocor, Mevacor, Crestor, or any of the other statins. But what I am saying is go see your doctor, tell them you're having memory loss, and see if they can put you on a good, healthy diet or some other type of medicine that does not interfere with your memory.
Or better yet, call our office and make an appointment to see Dr. Colbert, and he'll be glad to see you and help you get through that program. Thank you for watching us today. We appreciate you staying tuned. We'd like to give you the opportunity, if you have never prayed the prayer to ask Jesus into your heart, at close of every program, we want to give you that opportunity. It's a real simple thing. All you do is bow your head and pray and mean it. You mean it in your heart, and you ask Jesus to be your Lord and Savior. And you know what? When you do that, you get born again. We have some information we'd like to give to you by simply going to our website to help you and support you on your new life with Jesus Christ.
Now remember, the only thing better than a divine miracle is walking in divine health. We hope this program has been a blessing to you, and we'll be back next week.